welcome to the Skiffy and Fandy Show's Torture Cinema. Oh, I realized, do you have a tagline? Oh, is that your tagline or is that Daniel's?
So I'm channeling Daniel here, who he was supposed to be here, but then he sadly can't make it, but he loves this movie. And so let's just pretend I'm him. So, is a Sasquatch in Canada called Big Meter?
I feel like that's a very different Canadian character.
Is it because in Canada they measure in meters instead of feet?
Oh, I get Daniel's joke.
I just thought maybe I should explain it for the audience.
The funny thing is, that is the kind of joke Daniel would make because he's a scientist, and so he almost certainly is using the metric system for almost everything.
And Daniel's witty reply to that is, Yeti doesn't seem to mind what you call him.
Oh.
Yet he doesn't seem to mind what you call him? Yeti?
These are Paul jokes now. He must have talked to Paul.
I don't know. All I'm saying is he can't be here, so we got to do it justice for him.
Well, anyway, I'm Shaun.
I'm Julia.
And today we're going to have this for September's, but technical difficulties prevented that, so we moved it till now, which is in October. And we are talking about 1987's Harry and the Hendersons, directed by William Dear, and written by Dear along with William E. Martin and Ezra D. Rappaport. It stars John Lithgow, Melinda Dillon, David Suchet, Don Amici, Emmett Walsh, that's hard to say, my God, Margaret Langrick, Joshua Rudoy, and Kevin Peter Hall as the titular Harry. It has a 6.1 rating on IMDb and 48 and 54% on Rotten Tomatoes for their tomato meter and popcorn meter, respectively, and a 3 out of 5 apparently on Letterboxd because Daniel is now obsessed with Letterboxd. So apparently pretty middle of the road. And I will note, this is also on a poll, and I don't know if that says... Oh, no, it does. That's you, Julia. You got it.
Mm-hmm. This film was selected by our Patreon supporters based on a poll of movies that previously appeared in Torture Cinema polls, but had received no votes. Why no votes for this movie, guys? If you're not yet subscribed to our Patreon, please join and get a chance to suggest future torture for us. Force it upon us by voting in upcoming polls, and even join us in watching it live on Discord, all for as low as $1 per month.
It's real cheap. All right, so before we dive into the mess, we got to do the thing we always do, which is to get to what we're drinking. And as I always say, drink responsibly. Alcohol is not required on this show, so people may drink whatever they like. All we ask is that it is some form of liquid that you can drink as a human, I think is the rule. So, Julia, with that in mind, what are you drinking?
I decided to go thematically appropriate. So today I have my water bottle, but into my water I have put the essence of roses.
Oh.
So I'm drinking flowers, just like eating a corsage, but liquid.
Okay, I thought that was going somewhere else, that some other essence, like Bigfoot essence.
No, roses. Because it's fine to eat your own corsage or your neighbor's rose bush, either way. What about you, Shaun? What are you drinking?
So I made, I don't know, a cocktail thing. It has some of my, they say it's chili infused tequila, but I will let you know that it is just basically Tabasco flavored tequila with some a hazelnut liqueur and a ginger beer. Or ginger ale, whatever
that sounds very complicated. I can't tell whether that would be good or bad. How does it taste?
Honestly, not bad. It's really not that bad. It's okay. Fine. I would say the tequila, I would probably... I really just need to get rid of this particular tequila. Some other form of like agave tequila probably would be better. But otherwise, It's fine. It's a little gingery, kind of a little spicy. I put some nutmeg in there too for funsies, you know.
Oh, getting ready for winter.
Yeah. So I wanted to make like a Bigfoot cocktail, but then I was like, I don't have half the stuff for that. So, so that was out. Yeah. So no, but no, that's what I'm drinking. I don't know. The color kind of reminds of like dirty. Oh, it's hard to tell. Like a little bit like dirty pool water.
Yeah. Like the kind of water you might have if, say, you had to wash a Yeti in your pool.
Correct. Yeah, or your neighbor's pool.
Oh, either way.
Yeah, so great. Well, then we're on to summaries. Who's summarizing this movie? Right. Is it you?
I guess it's me. Okay. So Harry and the Hendersons, a movie that I actually saw in the movie theater in 1987 when it came out. And I loved this movie as a child, but I had not seen it since I was a child, and I had basically forgotten everything in it. It is a movie about the Henderson family with a dad who loves hunting, taking his family camping in the sort of Pacific Northwest redwood forest mountain area. And on their way home from their camping trip, where his son has shot his first rabbit, which is a weird game trophy, I'm just going to say. But they get really excited to show the dead rabbit off to the family. And on their way home, they hit an animal, or they think it's an animal, and then it turns out that maybe it's actually a sentient creature that is not just an animal, but in fact a Sasquatch ? They think it's dead. They tie it to the car. They decide to bring it home. Lots of weird choices in this movie. The dad threatens to shoot it. There's a bunch of stuff about guns in this movie that has a very confusing gun control or not message.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of back and forth about whether they should take it home or not. Anyway, they decide to, and partway home, it turns out it's still alive. So then they hit it with the car a second time. And they do manage to get it home, and it turns out to be definitely still alive and totally a friendly, lovable, big Sasquatch who is very, very upset that they have clearly killed other animals and does not like to see the trophies from the hunting on their wall, and kind of does some house destruction, partly by accident, partly because it's upset about the animals' deaths. And then
ceilings
they
being too low.
Ceilings are too low. It habitually like pops out the ceilings of the car. They decide that actually it's friendly and they like it. So then they teach it some tricks, and Dad teaches it the command sit like a dog. And Harry, that they decided to name it Harry eventually, loves to sit by jumping up and then like falling down in such a way that will destroy whatever he quote sits on. An ongoing gag throughout the entire movie. Meanwhile, David Suchet, who you may know as Poirot if you ever watched the Poirot series.
Oh, you're right.
That is Poirot. Poirot is hunting. He's been hunting this Bigfoot for years, and he is on the trail, and he's having arguments with his sort of like mentor / employer / I don't know, colleague, played by Don Amici, about whether or not there actually is a Bigfoot and all this other stuff. He's hunting and starting to make trouble for them, totally wants to like kill Harry. They don't want him to kill Harry. Meanwhile, the dad of the Henderson family's father owns a big gun store, and the dad works there. So there's a lot of question about whether or not he wants to promote violence at the gun store, and the dad wants to take advantage of this Bigfoot sighting stuff to sell more guns to encourage people to shoot Bigfoot. But Mr. Henderson has realized that Bigfoot's actually friendly and doesn't really want people to do that, and is embracing his creative side as an artist and draws a friendly version of Harry, which his dad doesn't appreciate. But there's some question about whether he's going to turn down his violent upbringing and disappoint his dad and stand up for himself. Also, I forgot that when Harry first gets home, he's really hungry, so he destroys the refrigerator, goes through it looking for whatever he can find to eat, and eats the teenage daughter's corsage, which she had been saving up for 6 months to buy for herself to wear on her 16th birthday.
That's right. Yeah.
I have a lot of questions around that. But anyway, Harry eats that, hence my rose water, because I was like, yeah, eating flowers, it's the way to go. And in the end, Harry makes good on this. He realizes that it's been bad and he shouldn't have done that. So he goes next door and takes all the roses off their neighbor's rose bush and gives them to the daughter. A very sweet gesture, which pisses the neighbor off a lot.
Of course.
But in the end, everything works out okay. Like, they try to make Harry go away. There's a big chase scene. David Suchet almost kills all of them, but then eventually they all work out that Harry's actually nice, and he comes back home with them.
No, he doesn't. He goes off into the woods.
He goes off into the woods, but then it's implied that he comes back.
Correct, because there's a TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I've never seen, so I have no idea if that's even worth seeing. But I
have never seen that before, but I know it exists.
Oh man, there's like that whole era of like the late 80s, like to early to mid 90s, where there were like animatronics for shows for kids. Because remember the dinosaurs show, right? I'm the baby,
that was
gotta love me.
Claymation.
You know, yeah.
I 100% remember that.
I watched that so much as a kid. I thought that was the most brilliant thing in the world. I bet you if I watched it now, it would not hold up.
I do not know. I mean, I definitely saw some of it when it was airing, but I have no idea if it holds up or not.
Look, lines from that show are still in my head like 30 years later. So that should say something.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Oh, boy. Well, I guess we should get to... Oh, I feel like we have to go backwards on this one. Because...
So we're going to start with dislikes?
I feel like you and I are not going to disagree terribly on whether this movie is good or bad.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's hard to hate this movie.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I don't think anybody's really going to hate it.
Yeah. So are you okay with going backwards?
Yeah, we can go backwards.
All right, so what is your dislike, Julia?
I feel like my main dislike with this movie was that a sense of it could have been a better movie if it had more of an idea of what it actually wanted to say. But I felt confused a lot of the time about what message it was actually trying to give. Because there was like, Harry was so like, oh no, don't kill other animals. And then he just eats their goldfish. But that's fine. Like, don't kill other animals, except I will eat your pet and that will be fine. And I guess, he's a pescatarian, but it was still a little bit like, oh, okay. And then there was a lot about like guns and whether those were okay or not, which I feel like that specifically might not have aged particularly well too, because we really didn't get a clear idea of where this movie stands on the gun issue. But I feel like in the meantime, we've had more and more mass shootings throughout the US, like all the time. And so I would sort of expect any movie that actually like takes a stand on guns to really be like, actually, they're bad and we don't need them.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of stuff like that where I was just sort of like, I'm very confused about what is ultimately happening here and who's got what point. And there wasn't a whole lot that made sense about it to me. Just like I don't know whether to love or hate the corsage thing, because that was another thing where I was just like, wait, I'm so confused. I've never known anybody who, and I did grow up in the 80s, so like this teenager was probably, a good 7 or 8 years older than I was, but I didn't know anybody who wore a corsage for their 16th birthday, let alone saved 6 months of income for it.
No. I've never heard of a corsage costing that much.
No, like they're a thing that like when I was in high school in the 90s, people did wear them at dances. And I have pictures from high school dances where like I have a corsage on because that was what everybody did. But they cost like $5 maybe.
Yeah, I just looked. I did a quick search. People's flower shops I went to, which is like an online place, they're like $30 today. That's not 6 months of saving,
that makes
even
sense.
80s.
And I feel like at the time, you would you probably could get one that was more expensive, but most of the time kids are wearing these to homecoming and prom, and like usually it's just like, here is a single white rose that you tie on your wrist. Like, we're not talking major money here.
Not at all. No, and I'm sure you can get cheaper ones than what I found in 3 seconds of Googling, right? So it's a weird choice, because you're right. It makes almost no sense. And the amount of damage Harry does to make amends for it is certainly in excess of the 6 months worth of saving that she did, because he destroys how many rose bushes? Like
the entire yard worth of roses, and the neighbors like really like, who did this to my roses? Which I guess is supposed to be funny because I think the whole thing about Harry. Whoa! Oh yeah, then that's true.
She calls him Kimchi, and his name is Kim Lee. And
like at least the one thing I will say for this movie, which is like progressive for the 80s certainly, is that there isn't a lot of that kind of horrible stereotypical racism in the movie. This is like the one scene, and she has like a yard work person, and she calls him Kimchi in this scene, and he says, my name is Kim Lee. And this is, when I say it's progressive for the 80s, what I mean is he's actually a person, and he's like, stop being stereotypical and racist about this. Like, I'm a person and this is my name. And the audience is supposed to be on his side about it.
Yes. Yeah. You're not meant to think she's done the right thing in this moment,
No.
although it is still meant to be a joke.
Yeah, but it's like very much like she's in the wrong, as opposed to like, is it Pretty in Pink or 16 Candles, one of the John Hughes movies that everybody loves,
16
has
Candles.
like a whole thing where the character's name is a joke, and you're just supposed to find it funny. And I'm not even gonna say it because it's just like, why? But if you wanna look it up, you can find it. But it is the entire movie. It's just like, this is a joke that everyone is supposed to take as really funny, and it's not.
I think the thing with the neighbor, right, is that she's also very deliberately presented to us as an annoying, nosy neighbor who probably doesn't mean bad, but has that character of kind of being annoying and kind of getting into people's business and saying things she shouldn't say. It's not that they hate her and that she's like deliberately trying to be a bad person. She's just she's a
nosy busybody, and she's always inserting herself into everybody's business.
Correct. Yeah, I guess we would call them a Karen today if we were going by the like modern lingo or whatever.
Yeah, I don't even know, because I feel like calling someone a Karen means that like they're there to make trouble, but she's not really there to make trouble. She's just there.
She's just nosy. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just sort of always wants. She doesn't have bad intentions, and she's not necessarily gonna like. I feel like a Karen's always going to call the manager and complain about something and be deliberately racist about it. But this lady's not necessarily trying to do that.
Yeah.
She's just always trying to be around and in everybody's business because she wants to be part of things.
Yeah, I think that's a better way of thinking about her. Yeah, I think the thing that
she's more of a Ned Flanders, I feel like.
Yes, she's more like Ned Flanders without all the religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Not trying to be bad, but, causes problems because her nose is, like, up in everybody's stuff. All right, which is a problem when you have a Bigfoot hiding in your house.
Yeah, like, overly friendly and wants to make sure everything is okay. And it's like, we don't want you to look inside our house and see that our staircase has been destroyed by a Bigfoot climbing it.
Imagine that insurance call. How did your stairs get destroyed, sir? A Bigfoot walked up and down them. Okay, sure.
Sure. That makes sense.
He's going to have to start a comic book company because how's he going to make money? He quit his job.
Well, I mean, I guess he can make money with his art now that he's embracing his creative side.
He's actually good. His dad's
he's
stupid.
Good at his art.
I don't get it. Like, I get they're doing the whole thing where, like, the dad didn't support him because the dad had his own, like, very specific ideas that like, sort of sense of masculinity that he exudes. and the son never really fit into that, but tries to. And
Yeah.
yeah. And here we go. He's going to
Yeah,
now
and
become the
I
artist.
feel like this is another place where it's like, I think of the messages, that one kind of got through the best, but it was still kind of a little bit muddled, and I think it could have, I think everything that this movie sort of wanted to say could have been said in a more clear and meaningful way a lot of the time.
I think part of it is the structure of the film. It's structured as a slapstick film for kids in much of the film. And so there's not a lot of time spent. Let's think about who these characters are and what their conflicts are. And then once we get to the end, somehow this whole situation is going to help them get to the resolution for their conflict. The conflicts sort of kind of appear and kind of sort of get resolved. And some of the messages that are supposed to come out of that conflict sort of kind of come through, but they're not maybe as clear as they could be. Like, I think, to me, the one that felt the strongest was the environmental message. Because I think it's pretty blatant, right? That, like, killing animals bad, treat nature with a little bit more respect, because, like, there's nice Bigfoot people that live out there. And you shouldn't just assume that nature is this thing you're meant to go destroy. Because I think they basically say that after the like old retired professor who used to hunt Bigfoot kind of comes and stays with them. They basically say, like, we've treated nature as this thing where we don't like enjoy its beauty and what makes it wonderful. And Harry is basically teaching them this message. And because it turns out Harry is adorbs. He is adorable.
Yeah, and he's genuinely just like kind and empathetic. And so he by being kind and empathetic, he's leading by example, and you can't help but like him. So then you are also led to be kind and empathetic by being friends with him.
Kind of want to be his pal.
Yeah, well, I mean, who wouldn't want to be a pal with like a big giant furry guy who's like, "Hey, I'm kind to everybody except for your goldfish."
Well, I guess that gets to my dislike, and this is tough because for me, I almost didn't dislike anything in this movie. I had a blast watching this. This was a lot of fun. I wish I could have sat my kid down to watch it because I think my kid would have loved the crap out of it. But the cards didn't line up. But if I was to think about something that I did not like, I understand the ending. I get it. I get
okay,
like, oh, they wander off into the woods and then they see other Bigfoots like come out and like, oh, isn't that kind of cool? I get that ending, but I don't like it because I feel like there's a clashing of cultures that is also part of this story, and I feel like that part just gets like, oh, it's over now. The clash is over, and I actually find, to me, I want just a different ending where Harry does come and live with them in this little town. It's like, oh, yeah, there's a Bigfoot. He lives down at the Hendersons place. And that's the new story, is like Bigfoot's getting into trouble again and the town's just trying to work through it. But it kind of feels like at the end, when John Lithgow's character, George, does this whole thing where he like tries to be mean to him to get him to go away and all of these things. I understand what they're going for, but I felt like it was not as satisfying. And I want the more satisfying ending where like Harry, that he's just part of the family now. That's Harry. Yeah, he really loves his, was it like Three Stooges or whatever it is with the chimp throwing like stuff at people like that. He's into that stuff. And I don't know. I want that. I want the happier ending and not the one where he just disappears in the woods and we never see him again. Even though technically we do because there's a TV show.
Yeah, so I felt like the part where John Lithgow is being mean to him, that's like the classic, you gotta like make the thing that you love go away to be safe or whatever thing. But I also felt like that came before the true ending. And then it was clear not long after that the reason he was doing that was because David Suchet was going to come and shoot Harry. Yeah. And I think my understanding was that Harry then also understood why he was doing that. And that, like, when we did see all the other Bigfoot family members come out, this was a happy ending because it showed that there had been so much question throughout the entire movie about whether he was the last one and they would be extinct. But then it's like, no, he's not the only one. He actually has a whole community. And like now, you know, he knows where this family lives and he can come back and they are friends and he recognizes that they were all trying to protect him because he saw them walking around with his footprint shoes that they made to try to throw David Suchet off the trail.
That part I think was cool because
I thought that like I thought that Harry kind of understood that and that like the implication was, you know, now they're friends. So he does live in the woods. That's where he lives, but he also knows where they live. So he can come back and he can have a kid and show them his kid, maybe. I don't know. I felt like it wasn't the end of these people hanging out with Harry.
But like the whole town is crazy. Like everyone's buying guns to like as they saw the Bigfoot. I mean, it's one thing I liked about it is that the film, they do this amazing thing where people keep being like, the Bigfoot, he's so dangerous. We must get him. But like, even we know that they're not correct. And then John Lithgow's character I suppose what you could almost say is like an emotional outburst, shakes this biker being like, you made it up. Don't admit you made it up. Right. And it's like, everybody's just feeding into this media frenzy. And because that's how you get attention, etc. Because like Bigfoot, he's really nice, and I was the one that freaked out is not the story that people want out of the news. And I think the news has gotten much worse since 1987 on that score. Yes. But I also think that there's a lot to be said for news stories don't last very long and people forget them pretty quickly. So if you just wait a week, people will forget that there was a Bigfoot sighting. They won't remember that this is the thing that they were worried about. And you can go like, also the Hendersons know roughly where Harry lives. So if they come back and go camping, like what are the chances that they end up hanging out with Bigfoot friends? They're nomadic.
Yeah, but they know where the Hendersons go though. I feel like it's entirely possible that they could meet up. I don't think the movie ends with a idea that you will never ever see more friendship between them.
I just want the sequel then, where they go back out into the woods and it's like them at a camp party together, like Harry, and he brings his family and they camp.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that sequel could exist. Also, you could try to watch that TV show. I've never seen it, but maybe
maybe it's good.
maybe it's good. I don't know.
I'm afraid to watch it because I'm afraid it'll be really bad, and I don't know. I don't want it to ruin my joy of this movie.
That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't dislike it. I just don't.
Yeah. So speaking of joy, I was just gonna say, like, what is your like? Because we were going backwards. So what's your like?
Easy peasy. I think my favorite thing in this whole movie is how good the like animatronic head mechanism for Harry and Harry in general is in this movie. I was surprised when I had also not seen this since I was a kid. When you mentioned like it'd been since I was a kid, and I was like, I think I saw this maybe in the early 90s, maybe, and I've never seen it since. And so my immediate thing was, I know that it had like a dude in a giant suit thing. Yeah. And my inclination would be, well, it's old, it's probably not going to be very good, probably like, you know, like a little thing that barely moves like the like Planet of the Apes mounts, right? And I was surprised that was not the case. It was a pretty articulate mask. The mouth moved really effectively. I mean, to be fair, he doesn't have to talk, right? It really just makes noises, most of it. His smile is adorable, right? When you said like, how could you hate him? He's like when he smiles, he looks like the sweetest creature you've ever met in your life. You just want to hug the guy. Everything about him, I just thought was beautiful and really well done, and it made me happy. This should be an attraction at an amusement park. I would 100% get a Harry hug for one of these like animatronic. It's so good. It's so good. So good.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. I think it was A lot of fun. I think it's from a time when we were still doing practical effects, and I really enjoy practical effects. And it's a Universal movie, and Universal is consistently known for their monsters, so it makes sense that they would have done the work to make a good, convincing monster, even if it's a friendly one.
Did you notice they did lots of fun, like, anthropology things with Harry, too? Like,
Yep.
We know that they're capable of intelligent thought. They can learn. They're vegetarians, although pescatarian, because apparently sometimes they eat fish. There's like all kinds of little things you learn about their culture. There's a funny thing where when he first sees the deer head and he realizes it's a mounted deer head, or he goes and buries it. And that's like part of the culture that they realize, oh, that's how to make him happy about all ththese other animals we've shot. Let's bury them in the yard.
Give them a proper, respectful funeral.
Which means they're intelligent. They're more like us than we kind of realize. Like my little like I was thinking like, oh, how close to Neanderthals would they have been? Like how close on the evolutionary tree are they to us? Like maybe we're really close relatives, and maybe we're not that far apart. Maybe they have a language. He kind of talks at the end. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they have a language in grunts, sort of like Chewbacca, who is also one of my faves.
Yeah. I just thought they put those details in, and I was like, I'm so glad you thought for like 3 seconds about, like, let's just put these little nuggets in here. Because they could have just had none of that, but I think they're just very well integrated.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Yeah, and I will say if we want to move into my like for this, I really did. I enjoy any movie that has a big lumbering growling thing. Chewbacca is my favorite Star Wars character because I relate to anybody who just kind of like looks at the world and is like, I gotta growl at it. And Harry expresses so much with his and like you said, the sort of like expressions of his face were really good. You could really tell what emotions he was feeling. And this movie, I think, did the classic Universal thing of really leaning into the physical comedy and the physical acting of all of these different sequences. So like there was this sort of like part where they hit him with the car, and there's a lot of like visual and physical acting going on there that's not, it almost feels like watching like an old school Looney Tunes cartoon but in live action.
A little bit.
And then like the same thing happens over and over again when you see him introduced to the house, and it's like, oh, there is this monster that is comically too large for this house. What will happen? Everything that can go wrong will. And we will see it in this sort of like kind of hilarious slapstick way. But you get that, and it kind of like throws back to the really early monster movies like the 1931 Frankenstein, where there's a whole sequence where the monster is sort of like chasing people from room to room, or like going to try to make the moves on the bride before, like, but when you see that happening in the old movies, it's like all visual, where it's like she doesn't know he's there, but he's like, haha, she looks pretty good. And then everybody finds out, and it's a big chase scene. And that's sort of like the whole point of the movie, is watching everybody go through these very visual slapstick sequences, which can also be a little bit scary or a little bit thrilling or a little bit actiony, but also can be funny. And there's a lot of sort of integration with the score and less dialogue in them. This movie did have a lot of dialogue, but I feel like there was a lot to it that wasn't dialogue. There were long stretches where there was like almost no dialogue.
Yeah. And handled pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like there's empty space.
Yeah, I thought that was the point of the movie. A lot of it was just like watching these sequences unfold, and you knew that like you're kind of moving through the dialogue parts to get to the next one, and then you would have another sequence where you're there to see a big furry monster and what he does, and you're going to get to see it.
Did you know John Lithgow, by the way, wasn't originally going to do the movie?
No.
So he originally said that he thought George would have to act too ridiculous, and he just didn't want to do it. And do you know what convinced him that he should look at the second draft of the script, and what ultimately helped him decide?
No, what?
The portrait that George draws in the movie. He saw that image. It becomes the portrait that is drawn in the film. He saw that, and apparently he was really impressed by the design and said, "Send me the second draft. I'll look again." And then he ultimately decided, "I'll go and do it."
So he was like, "This is actually serious enough that I'm going to do it."
Basically, right? Or just not so ridiculous to the point that he has nothing to work with, because, he did things like Shakespeare and stuff. He wanted little something for a movie, which is kind of funny given he did Third Rock from the Sun, but, whatever. I don't know.
Yes.
I thought that was really cool. And then I guess Rick Baker did the design for Harry, who he was a special effects creator, won an Academy Award 7 times.
Yeah. Yeah, and this movie did win the Academy Award for that. So, and with good, totally understandable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think completely and utterly, I don't know what it was up against, so I can't speak to whether it deserved it over other options, but you could see this as the kind of thing that would absolutely get that kind of nod. It's well done. Yeah, and profitable. It made $50 million.
Yeah. And why not? Something that I found really interesting was that when I was looking it up, I was curious to see what the critics had said at the time. And a lot of the critical reviews were like, this movie isn't very good because Harry isn't scary. He's too kind and gentle. And I was like, you've just described a movie that kids will like. So what is wrong with this?
Yeah. The thing is that I don't understand the really negative reviews. I think one LA Times said that it had great technical qualities and performance. Lithgow's performance was good, but then they said that the film itself was weak and had no real substance. But again, I feel like you're reading this film in a context that it doesn't exist in, because it's a film meant for children. And families. It's a family-friendly film. Are you expecting Taxi Driver here? It's sort of absurd.
Yeah, that was definitely my reaction when I read a lot of these reviews. Even Siskel and Ebert, I was like,
yeah.
Wait, you're upset that a movie for kids has stuff that kids will like in it? That's your problem with it? I'm very confused right now. And then there was also one review that was anybody who's seen E.T. has already seen this movie. Yeah. I was like, no, this is not actually the same as E.T.
No, and Ebert apparently said that he felt there was no awe in the film because, as we've just said, right, his reasoning is Bigfoot is so cute and lovable, et cetera, and gentle. And so there's no sense of mystery or awe, he says. And I gotta say, no, you're wrong. You're totally wrong.
Yeah, that you're just wrong. I'm sorry. That's just not correct.
Not at all. I found the fact that it wasn't a big scary monster, but the fact that it's so obviously not, the second you give it 1 second to kind of reveal who it is, I found that really exciting, because then it's okay, well, if it's not a big scary monster, then all these Bigfoot hunters are effectively hunting a thing that has no desire to hurt anybody. If anything, that means there's coexistence possible here. We could hang out at campgrounds and have fun together and be friends. I think that's fun and exciting. That's awe-inspiring.
I think that sounds great, personally. I also just have a really big soft spot for the redwoods, so I feel like anytime you're doing stuff that's there, it's just sort of awe-inspiring anyway. But
yeah, the visuals are good. Yeah. I miss mountains.
Mountains are really good.
I live in Iowa. We ain't got that.
I love just big old trees. They're great.
Me too. Yeah.
I think they're wonderful. And I think that that's the nice thing where the environment sort of comes in, is that Harry is in that environment. That's where he fits, in this place where the trees are so big that, a Bigfoot is tiny compared to them.
Yes.
And he's not really meant to live in somebody's house in Seattle.
You're right. You're right.
That's not where he's supposed to live. Um,
Apparently, in 2007, Eric Henderson at Slant Magazine gave it 2 out of 4 stars, and he said that it's just as Mac and Me eventually devolved into a feature-length commercial for McDonald's. Harry and the Hendersons eventually emerges as a vegetarian screed, which
yeah, I did not get that from this movie. I feel like, I mean, Harry likes to eat fish instead of red meat, but like at the end of the movie when they are like having their friend the professor over for dinner, it doesn't really even seem like they're eating vegetarian all the time or anything.
no, that's just when they have certain guests, as they say jokingly, right? They'll be
Yeah,
vegetarian.
and then they give Harry some carrots and celery so that he can eat those.
Yeah.
Um, which, but yeah, I was like, I don't know. I don't really feel like this is a vegetarian like manifesto at all. I feel like this is sort of like, oh, maybe Harry doesn't like it when we kill animals, so let's not make him eat hamburgers. Like he didn't even mind the rest of the family eating hamburgers.
No, he wasn't bothered by that. He just himself didn't want to eat it.
He didn't want to do it.
If anything, he wasn't a pushy vegetarian. The thing that happens is all of the non-vegetarians go, well, to make Harry feel more included, we'll just have a vegetarian meal when he's at the table. If anything, this is apparently an inclusivity screed.
Oh, I mean, there was, again, this is another place where I'm like, I don't really know exactly what this movie is going for.
Yeah.
Because it's the 80s and anti-fur campaigns were ramping up a lot. So there was a point where Harry goes through the house and he's finding all the dead animals in the house and he's getting upset about them. And he gets really upset about this mink stole that he's found. And they're like, what was that? And they're like, it was grandma's mink stole. So it's like not, they want to be clear that the family, the current living family doesn't have fur.
Yeah.
This is an heirloom from grandma. But then like the conversation about it gets really confusing to me about like messaging. Because it's like, oh, well, you know, grandma didn't kill that. Somebody else raised it and then killed it so that people could buy it. And I was just sort of like, wait. Okay, that doesn't make it better.
No.
Like,
well, but like when you think about it, right? Like, what is the argument for a mink stole?
I mean, the argument was they were soft and warm.
Yeah.
We have a lot more synthetic stuff now that is warm, but 100 years ago we did not. So
right. Yeah. So I mean, maybe if it were hundreds of years ago, you might, if you didn't have access to like wool, I guess. You might say that, but their argument now...
Well, I mean, like, even if you do have access to wool, I think one of the reasons people used fur stuff was because it's really, really warm, and it keeps it's like anything to do with skin, like leather, is going to be a natural barrier against moisture. Like wool, if you get it wet, it becomes very absorbent, and then you're wearing a bunch of wet fabric.
That's fair. Yeah, so... But of course, now we live in modern times, so I guess we just really don't need those things.
Like I feel like now there's really no reason for anyone to have a fur coat. But if you go back 100, 150 years ago and you're living in a place like you live, where the winter's really cold, it's like, oh yeah, I understand why people are wearing a nice fur thing to keep them warm.
Yeah.
And it's less likely now, but like also the other reason is because those were very soft. Mink was bred because it made soft fur that people liked to feel against their skin.
I just find that less meaningful of an answer than it keeps me warm better, which like prevents death. So.
Yeah, I just feel like we all, there's a lot of leather still in the world that people still wear and don't really think twice about. And that's also animal skin.
It is.
And some people really do care about that and are very upset about it. But a lot of people don't really mind. And it's considered useful because it's used for a lot of things.
Yeah, I guess I don't think I have any. I don't think I have actual real leather anywhere in my house. Not because I'm some like I'm just sitting around thinking about all of the stuff I buy, and like I'm being super hardcore environmentalist, and like I'm Captain Planet basically. Although I am Captain Planet because he's hot, so whatever. But I just don't think I've ever bought anything that expensive. So
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of questions around what is and isn't okay. But I just thought that whole segment was like, I was like, I don't really feel like they're kind of picking what they actually have to stick to. They're not picking a lane.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's almost like they're trying to be super careful to not be too on the nose for their child audience or for their family audience, which is maybe that's an 80s thing that I just don't remember because I mentioned Captain Planet jokingly, and when I think back to Captain Planet now, I just go, well, that is so aggressively an environmentalist message.
Yeah, I feel like there were a lot of things that were very aggressively, like, specifically taking a point of view. Like, I feel like there was a Jetsons movie that was, like, really, really environmentalist forward that I saw as a kid.
Huh. Maybe.
I can't remember, like, what it was about, but I remember being like, oh, yeah, we have to save the environment, being a thing that kids were taught a lot through media. And I think that this is just kind of like, to the extent that it's teaching anything, it's teaching that we should be nice to Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's a good message,
Which
though.
is an okay message. I think that the other thing I liked about it, but think it could have even done better, but I do appreciate this about it, was that it was kind of like trying to push a you don't have to do masculinity in a toxic way message. And I think it could have gone a little bit harder on that, and that would have been nicer. But like that, I think, is at the heart of the whole, like, dad is actually wanting to be an artist, but he's kind of been forced into being a hunter to prove himself to his dad. But like, what good is that actually doing for him? Nothing. And he's also now teaching his son to do the same thing. Why? Because that's what it is to be a man. And sort of like the whole work of the relationship with Harry is to undo that idea that you have to be violent in order to be a man.
Yeah, or be involved in like explicitly, historically, culturally masculine activities. Hunting, fishing, camping, all of those things. And that's how you're man now, instead of being an artist, which also turns out you can be a man and be an artist.
And like the journey of the son is basically like starting from that wanting to be accepted by his dad, the man who's raising him, by being like, yeah, I'm shooting rabbits, to, oh, I'm actually going to be nice to the Bigfoot because we should be nice to animals.
I like that John Lithgow has a line about this where he basically says, like, the first time my dad has ever like shown any appreciation or desire to support my art has been to make me do the one thing with my art I just really don't believe in, which is to draw a Bigfoot that's violent and he doesn't want to do it because to him it just doesn't, it feels wrong. And then the thing that makes him quit his job at the gun store that his dad owns, Henderson and Son Guns, I guess, is his dad gets mad at him for drawing a nicer version of Bigfoot, and so erases some of the parts and draws like teeth and look on his face, and the dad's like, aha, see, you're not the only artist. And that's what basically is the final straw, because his dad like kind of like violated his artistic vision and didn't respect his son enough to like hear him in that moment.
Yeah, and just wanted to sell more guns and more ammo. And another thing that I found sort of horrifying, but not the fault of the movie, just the fault of time passing and what has happened in our society, was all the stuff around the gun store and what was okay and not okay and what was considered normal and acceptable. There was the point where David Suchet goes in there and he's trying to buy like a bunch of really big bullets to shoot big game with, and they're like, we only have this one box of those. You can't get more, and you would never need more than that. And he's like, I need all of them. I need a bunch. And I feel like these days it would be like, here, let me give you thousands. And also here's a semi-automatic weapon. And there was a thing in there about how like you have to wait 2 weeks to get a clearance. And it's like, no, that's not even a thing. You could just walk in and get.
Only for handguns and semi-autos, but not for rifles and I think shotguns, he says.
Yeah, but
I don't think solves the problem at all.
No, but it is like a world in which there is somewhat more gun control, and that's considered normal even by people who sell guns at a gun store. And like now I feel like that is not the case.
It definitely doesn't feel that way. You would think like, because Lithgow's got this weird, he has like a mindset of, when people ask him things that sound bananas, he's kind of like, what? Because the guy, right, so Suchet comes in and he's like, I want all the big bullets. And he's like, bro, we only got the one. And also, are you, what? Like, that's something odd. Like, and then the guy's like, I need like an assault rifle, like a machine gun or whatever, or an automatic weapon. He's like, I need an automatic weapon.
It's like, yeah, we don't even sell those here. Like, that's not a thing you can get. Yeah. And I'm like, I wish that were still like the prevailing attitude from people who owned a gun store and wanted to sell guns to people. But it's clearly a relic of the past.
Yeah. Did you remember when there's the big chase scene that's in the city when Harry's wandering around the town? That guy who asked for the automatic weapon that he doesn't get, he just gets the biggest rifle he can get, basically. He's like dressed like Rambo.
Yeah. And I feel like that's like obviously because that's a popular movie at the time. Yeah. And yeah.
It's a very clear
That's a
image.
deliberate call out.
It's a fun call out though. Well, we should grade it and call it a day.
Yeah. So, all right. So what do you give this movie, Shaun?
I'll be honest. I obviously love this film. It's not perfect, but it is really great, and I enjoyed the living crap out of it, and so I'm giving it a B+.
Yeah, that's probably where I was going to go too. I do feel the need to say that Daniel was going to give it an A because Daniel does really love it. I think he loved it as a kid, and he still loves it as an adult. I would love to do that, but I just feel like it's a little bit too all over the place for me to quite go there. So I'm gonna give it a B+ as well, because I did really think that the costumes, the makeup, the whole like visual sequences and all of that were delightful. But then like if you try to poke a lot of the plot of this movie, it's like, what is happening here?
Yeah. You're not supposed to think too much. You're just supposed to have fun.
No, you're really not. But I feel like in order to give it an A, I would just kind of need it to feel a little more together.
I agree. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. There's aspects of it that just it's not quite there, but it does not deserve like a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It absolutely does not deserve all the hate that critics gave it. I do not understand where that was coming from, especially because like. I remember loving this movie as a kid, and I feel like a lot of other kids also loved it, and it was clearly meant for like families to watch and kids to enjoy.
Yeah. Look, I would show this to my kid. He'd have a blast.
Yeah.
A giant hairy Bigfoot man, he would love it.
And like every time Harry gets into a car and pops out the roof of it again, like anytime you see a new car that he's going to get into, you're like, oh, it's going to happen. And then it does. And it's always funny.
It's ridiculous every time. And the look on his face every time they look at him, he's just like, like, I'm sorry, but I want you. I'm like 9 feet tall, man. I don't know what to tell you. Oh, Lordy. Well, that's the show. So if you've watched this film and you'd like to let us know what you think about it, skiffyandfanty@gmail.com is one way. And then if you're in our Patreon Discord, we have a show discussion channel where you're free to talk about literally any show we've ever released, but you can talk about this one. We are on Blue Sky Threads, Mastodon, YouTube, where our shows go, and other kinds of places. Those are all at skiffyandfanty.com/skiffythings. And then we are, again, here every Friday at 7 p.m. Central for our live show format for whatever we happen to be doing that day. And so expect that there. That's at twitch.tv/alphabetstreams. And then please spread the word, tell people about our ridiculous show. I don't know, share our social stuff, review us, all that stuff. And then if you've got money that you don't need, which is kind of, I think, important, it's money you don't actually need, patreon.com/skiffyandfanty would be helpful if you are inclined.
And on that note, I want to say a big thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. We have Andrea the Alluring, Cameron the Chthonic, Carolyn the Benevolent, Carrie the Divine, Chris the Candescent, Dan the Transient, Daniel the Cultured, David the Debonair, JC the Jocular, Jeff the Gracious, Joseph the Jovial, Juan the Junctional, KB the Kind, Karen the Kickass, Kat the Kinematic,
and Matthew the Magnificent, Paul the Pious, Phoebe the Eloquent, Robert the Riveting, Robin the Bold, Ryan the Resilient, Sarah A. the Sensational, Sarah E. the Sublime, Sarah O. the Rapturous, Scott the Gentleman, Stephen the Strange, Tari the Thorough, Tanya the Triumphant, Trish the Imperturbable, and Victor the Valiant. Thanks, everybody. A lot. We really appreciate it.
And I just need to say that, like, we need a Sarah I and a Sarah U. So
and sometimes a
just
Y.
If you know any Sarah I's and Sarah U's who want to join the Patreon, it would really complete our set.
Yes, we could definitely do it with that. Well, thanks, everybody. So for me, I'm at ShaunDuke.net. If you just put /Duke things, you'll find all my social channels. And then I'm here on Twitch at Alphabet Streams. Wednesdays, Sundays, 6 p.m. Central if you want to see me game and stuff.
And I'm at juliarios.com. So if you want to find out what I'm doing and what my projects are, that's where you can find me.
Excellent. So as required by the Skiffy and Fanny bylaws, I must make it happy, which is really easy with this movie because I think this movie made us both pretty happy. So my happy statement will just be that this has reignited my desire to find a Bigfoot.
And I'm just going to go off and eat a corsage.
Are you a Bigfoot, Julia?
I cannot confirm or deny this.
I have so many questions. We'll talk about it off air. And on that note, happy ending and scene.